RAIDOU Remastered doesn't appear to be what most people think it is, and that's because the title probably isn't entirely accurate. From everything I've heard from a variety of different sources that have already played the game, this is not a remaster, it's a full-blown remake. We'll get to the exact changes, but first, here are the scores from Famitsu in Japan. 8898, which is a 33 out of 40. Pretty high score. Everything's pointing towards Raidou being a solid game, and I would recommend those on the fence to take a look at gameplay. It isn't necessarily the norm for Shin Megami Tensei, as a lot of the games are turn-based, whereas this is a action RPG in terms of the combat. Let's take a look at what they've done to improve it from the original. Right away you can see there are massive improvements to the visuals. If you don't know, the original game was on the PlayStation 2 and released in 2006. Not an ugly game by any means, especially on emulator, but this is a big change. The game looks fantastic now. Definitely showcases that Shin Megami Tensei style with some differences. There are new Japanese and English voiceovers. There will be an easy toggle between the two options in the menu, so you can choose whatever you would like. RAIDOU Remastered now gives you the ability to save anywhere, and it autosaves. People nowadays are used to autosave everywhere, so this might be a lost thing on some people, but it's a massive quality of life change for those of us that had to walk 10 minutes to a church uphill in the snow to save. There's now an objective screen before you had to travel to a specific spot in the game to look up what your objectives were. Combat has large changes, stealth attacks, you can lock onto enemies, you can now have 2 demons in battles, and there's a ton more. It looks like the combat system will have an entirely different feel to it. The reception to the original combat was kind of lukewarm. It wasn't particularly widely hated or anything like that, but it wasn't super great either. They will want to change that here for sure, so they've clearly put a lot of work into that. There's now a fast travel system through menus. You must have traveled to that location previously, and there is a cost to travel, so keep that in mind. Over 50 new demons have been added. The previous total for the original was 75, and the way that you capture demons is slightly different. This entry in the Shin Megami Tensei series was notably different in that you capture demons, you don't talk to them and get them to join. You basically get them down to a certain amount of HP and then initiate the confinement process, which isn't a whole lot different, but it's a little bit different. Originally, you had to spam the capture button fast enough to capture them, but now you can just hold the button down. So it's a bit of comfort for people that don't want to bruise their thumbs. They've also added the ability to save different versions of the same demon, something that is in a lot of Shin Megami games, so they've transferred that over to this game too. There's also a new skill system with sword skills that Raidou can use and passive skills he can get as well. And the demons have skill books that they can use to learn new skills. And you can also dash, so it'll be easier to get around in the world quickly, and there are no more random encounters, which is pretty huge for me, because random encounters can really drag a game down if they aren't done properly. There are so many changes in this game, many of which aren't explicitly told to us yet, but for a look at what they have shown, here is a list that was posted on r/Megaten a few months ago. As you can see, the list is extensive, so even after going through some of the biggest changes in this video, there's still a ton left. If it isn't obvious yet, they've basically given the majority of the systems in the game a variety of changes, which is good because the original had good ideas, but they weren't necessarily implemented the best. So the hope is that this will reach the potential that the original had. Like I said earlier, this is more of a remake than a remaster, considering the amount of changes to the game and the visual differences. It looks fantastic, and I'm pretty excited to dive in when it comes out. It also takes place in a much different time period than most Shin Megami games, which is 1930s Japan. Honestly, not a period that I know a lot about, so it'll be fun to see how that's explored here. One of the big differences in the way that Raidou works compared to the other games is in the way you interact with the demons. You actually use them in your investigations in a variety of ways. They have investigation skills that you use for things like reading minds, inspecting objects in the environment, and for navigating through different areas and puzzles, so there's more of a connection with the demons outside of combat. Raidou Kuzunoha versus the Soulless Army is not a game that I played back in the PS2 days, or one that I went back to later when I was looking through things, so I'll be getting to explore something that I never experienced back in the day. From what a lot of previews are saying, this is one that definitely is worth looking into. Raidou Remastered: The Mystery of the Soulless Army will be releasing on June 19th, 2025 for all modern consoles and on PC. I do videos on JRPGs, Western RPGs, and story-based games, so if that's something you're interested in, subscribe. Thanks for watching.